What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name's Michael Roman. I cannot believe we got this much Phase 5 news coming to us all within 2 weeks, and yesterday, 2 more bombshells as the Thunderbolts was revealed to be entering the earliest stages of pre-production for Marvel Phase 5 over at Marvel Studios. And what's more, we then later in the day heard about Ironheart entering production as well. You'll famously remember that right after Avengers Endgame, Robert Downey Jr. himself endorsed Ironheart, said she should be the next Iron Man in the MCU, and it appears as though Marvel Studios may have listened. And we're going to go ahead and break down where this report's coming from, what it exactly says about these two properties, and what the difference is between the Baron Zemo and the Red Hulk Thunderbolts. I saw a lot of confusion on this over the last 2 days, which team is which. We're going to go ahead and clarify that, then pick out the most likely roster for the MCU and break everything down. But first, if you could grab the subscribe button, we're giving away 2 PlayStation 4 Pros, as well as a whole slew of other Marvel related stuff. All you have to do, hit the subscribe button, then hit the notification bell, leave a like and a comment on this video, and if you want, stick around to the end of the video. We'll get into all the giveaway stuff again there. So the not so superhero team in the Thunderbolts has had several iterations with many different rosters over the last 2 decades over at Marvel Comics. That's why it's pretty unclear as to which way Marvel Studios is going to choose to go in their ever expanding MCU. But what is clear is that 2 prominent characters who could easily be responsible for the team's creation have already figured into the MCU during the Infinity Saga. Both Thunderbolt Ross's Red Hulk, which hasn't turned into the Red Hulk yet, and of course Baron Helmet Zemo, who we saw feature prominently during Civil War and we know will for sure return as one of the main antagonists during the Falcon and the Winter Soldier TV show. That's why it was no surprise yesterday when this was reported from one of the top Marvel Studios insiders, that's MCU Cosmics' Jeremy Conrad, that the Thunderbolts would be entering production for Phase 5. This had been a rumor for a long time around the community, begging the question which iteration of the team we would see, and it's leading me to believe that we'll actually see Baron Helmet Zemo and Red Hulk on the same team as a conflation of what originally happened in the comics. Now, to separate these 2 iterations of the Thunderbolts, as I've seen a lot of confusion in the comments, both on a video that I did here at the channel last year regarding the Red Hulk, as he does start a version of the Thunderbolts, but that's much later from Baron Helmet Zemo's team that's originally started. Now, in the comics, when we first meet the Thunderbolts, we're introduced to them as a superhero team, and it isn't revealed to us, the readers, or the rest of the 616 continuity that they're actually just the Masters of Evil, a team put together by Zemo in order to stand in for the Avengers and act like they're being superheroes at the same time to garner favor and power across the world and get access to all of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s top secrets. Now, while Marvel could choose to go this way, they're a long way off having introduced any of this roster outside of Zemo, and there is one obscure rumor out there that Avengers 5 would actually feature either Kang the Conqueror or Masters of Evil as the main antagonist. That seemingly would lead right into this team, the Thunderbolts, but more likely the case, we're going to get something similar to the Red Hulk iteration, and for his reasons. In the comics, when the Red Hulk put it together, it was more of like a Code Red team, a strike force, a group of superhero beings that could do the missions that he needed them to do, much like he was trying to do with the Avengers the entire time, but never succeeded in locking them down to go have them do his dirty work. And of course, that team of anti-heroes is smarter than that. They don't trust Thunderbolt Ross completely, so they agree to keep doing his missions, but amongst themselves, they agree to do missions for each other as well. Now, while we're far from getting that roster in the MCU, we're a bit closer. That's why I say if you can conflate these teams a bit and make a couple of roster replacements, the Red Hulk iteration looks a lot more likely. Where you see Flash Thompson, Agent Venom, we have that character Flash already in the MCU, but his high school character is a far cry off the Agent Venom character. I think you easily replace him with Baron Zemo. We are going to have the Punisher in the MCU. We don't know if we'll have him by then. You leave the Red Hulk in, we're obviously going to get Deadpool. Then you can replace Elektra's character with someone like Justin Hammer, who had his own iteration of the team, Winter Soldier, who was a part of the team, Luke Cage at one point when you reintroduce him, or even Hawkeye, who ended up leading the first iteration from Baron Zemo. See, these stories always revolve around what it means to be a hero. There's some redemption in all of this. These are typically anti-hero characters that aren't all bad or all good. Even Ronan himself needs a little redeeming. That's why the story will fit so perfectly into the MCU and maybe go a long way in filling that pseudo space left by a non-equivalent for the Suicide Squad. Now, if some of you are saying, hey, that sort of sounds like the storyline for the Dark Avengers, that they were just pretending to be the Avengers, that's where that storyline ends up going under Norman Osborn. He pulls the same stunt, trying to pose as a superhero team to garner both public favor but also garner power with within the government, and it's possible they could choose to do both of these things and maybe even connect them as the MCU does, but start off with this more lighthearted team. It's the sort of team that Deadpool would fit better in. I made the point the other day that when crossing over, say, the Punisher, you really have to make a choice as to which way you're going to go. You're going to cross him over with someone like Deadpool or Spider-Man, some of his classic crossovers that have comic relief, or you're going to go hardline and hardcore, cross him over with someone like Blade, Moon Knight, embrace the rated R, and make it a much more different kind of film that doesn't really call for the type of comic relief that Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool brings. And although Deadpool will undoubtedly hold a main spot in the entirety of the Marvel Cinematic Universe rated R section, his humor crosses over much better with the Avengers than it does something like the film that we just described. Now, speaking of the Avengers, we actually had another huge Phase 5 reveal yesterday, as coming from the same source, MCU Cosmics' Jeremy Conrad, that Ironheart would be entering into production over at Marvel Studios, that she eventually would get a film, but first would be introduced with a Disney Streaming Plus TV show, much in the way that they're introducing Miss Marvel. Now, famously, RiRi Williams is an iteration of Iron Man in the comics, and Robert Downey Jr. even weighed in on Ironheart himself right after the release of Avengers Endgame, went on public record and said, yes, I absolutely support it. Ironheart should be the next Iron Man in the MCU. There were a lot of people, myself included, who thought that Harley Kenner's character, considering we saw him at Tony's funeral, that was the kid from the end of Iron Man 3, would take up the mantle and become Iron Lad in the MCU, filling that role for a Young Avengers iteration. And it may be the case that these aren't mutually exclusive and or on different timelines, that will actually get Iron Lad before RiRi Ironheart, or maybe they'll occupy different spaces in different Avengers teams. It's possible, but more likely the case is that they'll focus on one character carrying that mantle after the legacy of Iron Man. It doesn't seem likely that they're going to fracture that, and it's also a little soon to be introducing that, with Harley Kenner having no real character development or arc since that third movie, which was so early in the beginning of the Infinity Saga. You have to think whatever plans they had then could have easily changed, and maybe in RiRi Williams' favor, as it may have once been Harley Kenner but is now hers to carry the Iron Man mantle in the MCU. Either way, we are a long way off seeing her character. There's been no character development for her at all, no introduction, and if they're just entering the earliest parts of pre-production now, then you can be assured both Thunderbolts and RiRi Williams Ironheart won't see the light of day till something like Phase 5, and maybe late at that. But you can expect to start seeing Easter eggs for said both properties in the MCU, and right soon, starting with the very next release in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Black Widow. We've already had a leak that Thunderbolt Ross is on set. It was right after reshoots were done for the second time, making it really seem like it was for a post-credit scene. Maybe he's showing up to recruit one Yelena Belova for the Thunderbolts. It'll be her Black Widow that features instead of Elektra. That would be a perfect swap. One other final thought I'll leave you with, which is quickly becoming maybe one of my sign-offs as we start to talk about these newer properties that Marvel Studios seems intent into pushing into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I'm going to say it probably a lot more here at the channel between now and whenever I'm done. But here's the point, I want to see all this new stuff too. I'm super excited about Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel. I want to see new stories like Ironheart in the Young Avengers, but as an old comic head who has a lot of classic stories that still need to be told for me, namely all of the X-Men stuff, the Fantastic Four stuff, the Secret Wars saga, a Wolverine solo movie, Hulk vs. Wolverine, there's a lot of classic matchups and classic stories that have yet to be told in the MCU, and as much as I want to see the new stuff, I'm sure hoping that it doesn't come instead of the old stuff. They need to make time for that too, and maybe with their admitted doubling of production over the next 3 or 4 phases, we're going to get to see both, and that's my hope. Guys, let me know what you think in the comments, both about the release of Ironheart as perhaps to be the next Iron Man character in the MCU, and of course the formation of the Thunderbolts with some roster in some iteration, possibly occupying one of a couple spaces in the MCU, either the lighthearted Suicide Squad anti-heroes, or maybe even leading to more sinister Dark Avengers. Let me know what you think in the comments about all of this. How hyped does it have you for the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe? And quickly, let's get into the giveaway stuff before I let you go. We're still giving away 2 PlayStation 4 Pros, the next of which is at the 500,000 subscriber mark. We are headlong into that. We'll easily hit that by month's end. All you have to do, hit the subscribe button, then hit the notification bell, leave a like and a comment on this video. It'll automatically enter you to win the rest of the stuff we're giving away at the channel throughout the rest of the year, which includes some limited edition Infinity Saga box sets we'll be formally announcing next week. All the same rules will apply though. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, leave a like and a comment on this video, and because it's truly random, the more videos you like and comment on, the better chance you have of winning. My name's Michael Roman. This is Everything Always. Guys, thanks for checking out the channel, and those of you who have been with me for the better part of this last year as we've been on this insane growth pattern, I cannot thank you enough. Your support daily means the world to me. You guys have been hitting me up in the DMs, sharing your thoughts and your theories. I can't thank you enough. You can continue to do that. I will answer as many of you as I can, and again, for those of you who have been with me since the beginning, this is a thank you specifically to you guys. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's been amazing. My name's Michael Roman. This is Everything Always. Guys, thanks for checking out the channel and stick around. We'll be posting again real soon.